We're going to switch gears to the theme of federal and provincial interplay. And the first question in that area is for Mr. Love. While the federal and provincial NDP do not always agree, there has historically been strong alignment between the provincial and federal wings of the party. And at minimum, there's a strong perception that the federal and provincial NDP share many policy goals and priorities. On a go-forward basis, Mr. Love, how would a Saskatchewan NDP government foster a productive relationship with the federal government, all while ensuring that Saskatchewan's unique needs, priorities, and viewpoints are addressed? Also appreciating we may be entering a federal election cycle here, so it might be a tough one to peg down. But I'll give you 2 minutes to respond to that, Mr. Love.
Yeah, thanks, John. I think we do have a federal election coming very soon, and we're happy to see that day come as well. But I'm going to take some issue with the premise of the question that there are not close ties between the federal NDP and the Saskatchewan NDP. I agree with the way you word it. There's a perception of this often crafted by my opponent to try and persuade voters. But the reality is there are no close ties between the federal and the provincial party, especially when it comes to standing up for things that matter to people here in Saskatchewan. Now, if folks want to know more about that, I would steer them to a letter written by our leader of the Saskatchewan NDP, Carla Beck. She wrote a letter to all three major federal parties with a list of federal issues and laying out our agenda and our hopes for this province. This includes seeking out their assistance on things like healthcare transfers, getting the funds that we need to work on our healthcare system. This includes things like eliminating the carbon tax. It's just not on for the people of Saskatchewan. That has always been the position of Carla Beck led NDP. It also raises the concerns of a fair equalization formula, something that previous NDP governments were fighting against until Stephen Harper asked the Saskatchewan Party to roll over and give up on that fight. And the fourth key issue there in that letter is support in extending broadband access and infrastructure to ensure that everyone in Saskatchewan, whether they be businesses, students, or seniors, have access to high-quality broadband internet. Now, Carla has been clear that she will work with any federal party to get good results for the people of Saskatchewan. She's also the kind of leader that will stand up to any federal party when they're not delivering the things that Saskatchewan people need and deserve. That's our position. I encourage viewers to check out that letter and see if you agree with our agenda of working with anybody in Ottawa to deliver for our province.
Okay, and Mr. Harrison, you now have 1 minute to rebut.
Yeah, I hardly know where to start on that one, but I will start here. Federal election can't come soon enough, and I can tell you who I will be supporting, who is Pierre Poilievre, as leader of the Conservative Party to become Prime Minister. Pierre, friend of mine since we've been teenagers. He will be a wonderful Prime Minister. Rookie MPs together over 20 years ago. I will be voting Tory. I'd be very interested to know who Matt's going to be voting for, because I'm fairly certain it will be either Jagmeet Singh or Justin Trudeau. So to say that the NDP provincially are not the same, they are the same party. They're legally the same entity. They have the exact same support base. They have the same folks knocking on doors for Matt are going to be knocking on doors for Jagmeet Singh. There is no question about it. They are the same party. And as far as a record of standing up to the government, federal government, I will put our record of fighting for this province against the NDPs any day of the week. We have been fighting the carbon tax from day one when they were demanding that we sign up with Justin Trudeau's carbon tax every single day in the legislature, demanding that we sign up with Justin Trudeau. We stood against it. Now they're coming around.
Mr. Love, final 30 seconds on this question.
I'll remind Jeremy that he was there and I was there when every member of the Assembly voted to end the carbon tax on home heating in Saskatchewan. That was a unanimous vote. I'll remind him that his leader, Scott Moe, tweeted to thank the Saskatchewan NDP for standing up against the carbon tax. That's the reality. Now, when he brings dishonest answers like the one he just delivered, he's doing so to drive a wedge. I think Saskatchewan people are done with that kind of politics, and I hope that we're able to move on with a more honest discussion.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Well, staying true to some carbon tax discussions, this question is for Jeremy Harrison. We know that there has been significant tensions between Saskatchewan and Ottawa on issues like the carbon tax. While standing up for Saskatchewan's interests is important, what is the Sask Party's plan to manage the relationship with the federal government moving forward? So, Mr. Harrison, specifically, how would a re-elected Sask Party defend the interests of our province while also building bridges with Ottawa to secure investment and opportunities for businesses and communities?
Well, good question. I mean, number one, like I said earlier, I'm going to be supporting Pierre Poilievre and working hard to make sure that he's elected as Prime Minister of Canada, because I view that as being in the interest of Saskatchewan, and not having Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh and the NDP driving policy from Ottawa that's massively hurtful for this province. The other thing, though, I would say, there have been collaborative relationships. Minister Wilkinson and I have talked very regularly on the Rare Earth Project, for example, here in the city of Saskatoon as well. Minister Champagne, Minister Vandel was here. We made an announcement with regard to rare earths as well. There are areas where there is room for significant collaboration, and critical minerals and rare earths has been a really good example in what we're doing at the Saskatchewan Research Council to build a brand new rare earth industry, which I would say the NDP voted against, by the way, as well. This is a great project that we're going to continue working on, whether it be a Liberal government, whether it be a Conservative government. But with regard to the carbon tax, let's again go back to this. This is something that we have been very clear on. Premier Moe, at that point, Minister of the Environment, was the only minister who walked out when Justin Trudeau, during a federal, provincial, territorial meeting of environment ministers, and announced that he was unilaterally imposing a carbon tax. The only minister to leave was Scott Moe. The only government to oppose a carbon tax at the national level was this Saskatchewan party government, the only one. And the reality is that we had the NDP standing up every day, criticizing us, vociferously attacking the government for not signing on to Justin Trudeau's carbon tax plan. We had them standing up saying, oh, it's a pointless crusade. Why would you even litigate any of this? And standing up to Trudeau, just get with the program. If the NDP had been in government, not only would we have a carbon tax in place still now, they would have been the biggest cheerleaders for it to be implemented.
Thank you. Mr. Love, you now have 1 minute to rebut Mr. Harrison's response.
More fear and division. You know, that's the theme today. Fear and division of what could have happened if the NDP had been in charge. Well, let's talk about realities. And as far as working with other levels of government, you know, I'm going to remind Jeremy that in Saskatchewan, the biggest areas of our provincial budget, health and education, rank dead last in the country in terms of outcomes in healthcare, wait times, access to family doctors, healthcare workers leaving our province at higher rates more than any other province. That's provincial jurisdiction, and his government is failing. In education, the lowest per student funding in the entire country. 10 years ago, we were number one. Today, we're dead last. This is provincial jurisdiction. So when he wants to point the fingers and sow division, it's a distraction from his record and the record of his government for the things that they are responsible for in the Saskatchewan government. And an NDP government will absolutely get to work to improve life by improving health and education in this province.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison, you have 30 seconds to provide a final response.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is that there have been very, very large increases in the health and education budget. Over 10% increase in the health budget this year, a 9% increase in the education budget. And the way that you are able to make those investments is with a growing economy. And the way that you are able to grow that economy is by working with our businesses here in the province, working to engage around the world to make sure that our commodities, which constitute 70% of everything that we produce is exported, are sold around the planet. And the NDP have never understood that. They believe government creates wealth. Government does not. It is the private sector that does that.